The last time Eleanor wore shorts was the summer of 2019. She remembers the exact day. A Sunday afternoon in June, her granddaughter's birthday. A backyard full of people she loved. She went inside to change before the guests arrived. And she never put the shorts back on. Not that day. Not the summer after. Not the one after that. Nobody ever asked her why. And she never explained, but she knew. And for 3 years, she carried that knowing completely alone. I want you to think about something you stopped doing. Not something dramatic, something small. Something you adjusted so quietly that most people around you never noticed. Maybe you stopped wearing certain clothes. Maybe you stopped going to the pool. Maybe you started choosing seats where your legs wouldn't be visible. Maybe it happened so gradually that you can't even name the exact moment it changed. Eleanor can name it exactly. Sunday, June 2019, backyard. A mirror in the hallway. One look at her own legs before the guests arrived. And a decision made in under 10 seconds that lasted 3 years. What Eleanor saw in that mirror was not something she needed to be ashamed of, but nobody had ever told her that. Nobody had ever told her what she was actually looking at, what it meant, where it came from, or that there was something that could be done. Something on this thumbnail stopped you. Something felt familiar. Stay with me. Because what Eleanor finally learned is what this entire video is about. Eleanor is 71 years old. She lives in South Carolina. She was the kind of woman who wore shorts all summer. Every summer, the Carolina heat demanded it. She gardened in them, walked in them, sat on the porch in the evenings in them with a glass of sweet tea and a book. She had never thought much about her legs. They carried her. That was enough. Sometime in her mid-60s, she started noticing something. Not pain, not heaviness, not yet, just something visible. The veins on her legs, the ones that had always been there, were becoming more visible, more pronounced. The smaller ones forming a fine purple map across the back of her calves. The larger ones, a rope of blue that ran along the inside of her left thigh. She noticed it the way you notice a crack in a ceiling. Something you see one day that you can't unsee after. She didn't say anything to her husband. Didn't mention it at her annual checkup. Seemed too minor, too cosmetic, too much like Vanity dressed up as a medical concern. She started choosing longer shorts, then capris. Then, by the summer of 2019, she stood in front of the hallway, mirror an hour before her granddaughter's birthday party, and looked at her own legs and made a quiet, private decision. Not today. She changed into linen pants, went to the party, smiled, danced with the grandchildren. Nobody noticed anything different. Eleanor noticed everything. Here is what Eleanor had been seeing in the mirror, explained in the way nobody ever explained it to her. And this is where most people get it wrong. Completely wrong. They see visible veins on their legs and think, cosmetic. They think, it's just the way some bodies age. They think, vanity would be the only reason to care. Stop right there. Because that thought, that single misclassification, is what kept Eleanor in long pants for 4 years. What you see on the surface of the skin when varicose veins or spider veins appear is the external signature of something happening inside the vein walls. Your veins contain valves, tiny one-way doors spaced along the length of each. Vein that prevent blood from flowing backward as it travels up from your legs toward your heart. When those valves weaken, and after 60, they weaken in most people, blood doesn't move upward efficiently. It pools between the valve that failed and the one above it. The vein wall, under the pressure of that pooled blood, begins to stretch and bulge outward. What you see on the skin is a vein that has been stretched beyond its design by blood that couldn't go where it was supposed to go. Not cosmetic, structural, a visible record of internal pressure that has been building for longer than the vein you're looking at has been visible. And here is the part that should stop you cold. The veins you can see are not the ones to worry about most. It's the ones you can't see, the deep veins, the ones working in silence that carry the greater risk when the surface veins have already announced that the system is under strain. Think of it this way. The visible veins are the warning light on the dashboard. The deep veins are the engine. When the warning light appears, you don't cover it with tape and keep driving. You check the engine. A 2020 study published in the European Journal of Vascular and Endovascular Surgery found that adults with visible varicose veins who left them unaddressed for more than 5 years had a significantly higher rate of deep vein complications, including chronic venous insufficiency and deep vein thrombosis, than those who received early intervention. Eleanor had been watching her veins for 6 years without telling anyone, without asking what they meant, without understanding that what she saw as a reason for shame was actually a reason for attention. 6 years of a warning light she had learned to ignore because nobody had taught her how to read it. It was 3 years after that Sunday in June. Her sister, Patricia, was visiting for a week. They had known each other for 7 decades. There were no secrets between them, or so Patricia thought. They were getting ready for a morning walk when Patricia noticed. Eleanor was putting on long pants. On a morning that was already 80 degrees, Eleanor, "It's going to be 90 by noon. I know." "I'm fine." Patricia looked at her sister the way only someone who has known you for 70 years can look, not accusatory, not demanding, just seeing. "Is it your legs?" The question landed in the room like something that had been waiting a long time to finally be said. Eleanor didn't answer right away. Then, quietly, "They don't look right." "Since when?" "Since before the pandemic." Patricia sat down, took a breath. "Eleanor, that's 4 years. Why didn't you say something?" "Because it seemed like vanity. Caring about how my legs look at 71, it seemed ridiculous." Patricia looked at her sister for a long moment, then said something Eleanor remembered word for word. "It was never about how they look. It was always about what they're doing. Those veins aren't an appearance problem, Eleanor. They're a circulation problem. And circulation is never small." The doctor's appointment was that Thursday. The diagnosis, chronic venous insufficiency, moderate stage, confirmed what the mirror had been showing Eleanor for 4 years. The doctor said, "You came at the right time." The right time would have been 4 years ago. But this is still the right time. The doctor gave Eleanor a protocol, not surgery, not yet. Not for her stage. 4 things, consistent, starting immediately. The first was compression, worn correctly. Medical-grade compression stockings. Graduated compression, tighter at the ankle, easing toward the knee, that replicated the pressure her weakened valve walls could no longer provide from the inside. She wore them from the moment she got out of bed, removed them only before lying down. Within 2 weeks, the evening heaviness in her legs that she had been feeling for 2 years and attributing to tiredness had reduced by more than half. The second was elevation, twice daily. Legs above heart level, 20 minutes. After her morning walk, before dinner. Gravity working for her circulation instead of against it. The pooled blood returning toward the core. The vein walls given relief from constant pressure. The third was movement built into every hour, not exercise, just movement. Every 45 minutes of sitting, she stood up, walked to the kitchen and back, did 10 calf raises at the counter, sat back down. Each calf raise activated the muscle pump her valves could no longer do alone. Each contraction squeezed the deep veins and pushed blood upward. 40 seconds, 10 times. 45 minutes later, 10 more. The fourth was horse chestnut extract, the one natural compound with the strongest published evidence for venous insufficiency. A 2016 Cochrane Review, the gold standard of medical evidence, found that horse chestnut seed extract significantly reduced leg pain, swelling, and itching associated with chronic venous insufficiency compared to placebo, 1 capsule daily. With her morning meal, available at any pharmacy, inexpensive, working on the vein walls from the inside while compression worked from the outside, 8 weeks, 4 habits. The veins didn't disappear. They weren't going to. But the heaviness eased. The swelling reduced. The skin around her ankles, which had begun to look slightly thickened, slightly different, began to normalize. And Eleanor, for the first time in 4 years, started to understand her legs differently. Not as something to hide, as something to take care of. 4 things. Starting today, compression, medical grade, from the moment you rise. Not drugstore socks. Graduated compression. Ask your doctor for the right level. Let it do from outside what your valves can no longer do inside. Elevation, twice daily, above heart level. 20 minutes after movement, before dinner. Let gravity work for you, not against you. Movement every 45 minutes, 10 calf raises at the counter. 40 seconds every sitting hour. Your second heart working for your veins. Horse chestnut seed extract, 1 capsule daily. The Cochrane reviewed natural support for vein wall integrity. Talk to your doctor before adding any supplement. 4 habits, starting tonight. Last summer, Eleanor wore shorts to her granddaughter's birthday party. Not to make a statement. Not because everything was resolved or because her legs looked the way they did at 40. She wore them because she had spent 4 years letting shame make a medical decision. And she had decided, quietly, firmly, that shame didn't get to do that anymore. Her granddaughter, now 7, ran across the backyard and threw herself at her grandmother's, legs the way small children do, wrapped her arms around them, pressed her face against Eleanor's knee. Eleanor looked down at the top of that small head, at her own legs, at the veins she had hidden for 4 years, and felt something she hadn't expected. Not embarrassment, not pride, just hers. They were hers. They had carried her for 71 years. They deserved better than 4 years of hiding. And they were going to get it. If Eleanor's story felt like your story, the longer shorts, the chosen seats, the private decision made in a hallway mirror, don't scroll away. Leave a comment. 2 or 3 words. Tell me what you've been covering up. Because someone will read your words today who has been making the same quiet adjustments for longer than they've admitted. And your words might be the first time anyone has said, "It was never vanity." It was always circulation. And circulation is never small. Hit the like button if Eleanor's story reached you. Subscribe to Strong Legs, Independent Life every Tuesday and Saturday at 11 a.m. because your legs have been carrying you for your entire life. It's time to carry them back. Keep smiling, keep moving, and never forget, you've got this.